behind diversion. We want to divert and take our mind off the troubles of the day rather than look them in the face and understand that praying is not begging and pleading. Praying is ruling and reigning. So let us not sleep, as do others, but let us watch and be sober. For they that sleep, sleep in the night. Jesus made a statement. He said, the night comes when no man can work. And it is important to know your season. There's a lot of people out there that in their life, they're in a night season when no man can work, and they're trying to make something happen and nothing's working, and they don't understand. They that sleep, sleep in the night. They that be drunken are drunken in the night. And what do we do? What are we supposed to do in the night season? We are to watch and be sober. Why? Because the day comes. Jesus is the day star, Peter said, arising in our hearts. You may be in a night season where nothing's working, where you're just trying to get your mind off of your troubles, but everything is cyclical. Jesus is the day spring. He's going to arise in your life, and we need to be sober. We need to be watchful so that we identify the day of the Lord when it arrives in our situation, in the season that you're facing, in your marriage, the job situation, whatever you're dealing with. Let us, verse 8, 1 Thessalonians 5, let us who are of the day be sober. Are you of the day or are you of the night? Let us who are of the day be sober. How do we sober up in the things of God? You know, Jesus compared the deceitfulness of riches, the cares of this life, to drunkenness. We become drunk with worry because he says sobriety is not about being serious-minded, although we should be serious-minded as believers, but putting on the breastplate of faith and love. If we're operating in unbelief, we're drunk on unbelief. If we're not operating in love, then we are drunk. We are inebriated with resentment, with self-referral, and thinking of ourselves before we think of others. See, if being sober is putting on the breastplate of faith and love, then the opposite of faith and love is being spiritually drunken. And there's a lot of people who have made a ministry. They've made a cottage industry out of alarmism. They've made a cottage industry out of xenophobia, this us versus them mentality that the Pharisees and the Sadducees operated in, which was the primary underlying character flaw that led them to assassinate Jesus. And the hope, and for a helmet, anybody ever looked at you and said, hard head? Yes, we do need to be hard-headed, but not politically hard-headed. Not hard-headed in terms of self-interest and self-referral, not hard-headed in embracing all of the conspiracy theories that abound in Christian culture, but hard-headed in our hope, in the hope of salvation. And that word, the fundamental meaning of it is rescue. They'll be hard-headed about, man, I mean, why don't you give up? Somebody told me one time, he says, you don't know when to give up. And the Lord said, exactly. Your greatest weakness is also your greatest strength. You need to be a believer that doesn't know when, that cannot find the exit ramp off of the highway of hope. That you maintain your hope, like Abraham, hoping against hope, in a figure receiving Isaac back even from dead ashes, if he had actually slain Isaac on the mountain, rather than the angel staying his hand. What is it that your walk with God is exacting upon you, that you extrapolate in your mind, as Abraham no doubt did? Romans tells us that he received Isaac back in a figure. He knew God made him a promise, and even if he burned that boy to dust and ashes, he received him back in a figure because he counted that God was faithful, and his faith in God became an entitlement. It was counted to him for righteousness. It gave him an entitlement where everything he said and did became as effective as if God said it or did it. This is Russ Walden with Father's Heart Ministry. If this has blessed you, text the word prophet to 44321 and sow into your faith today. It's not the only way to transact faith, but it's a powerful way to transact faith. Go to fathersheartministry.net, click on the subscribe link, and subscribe to the Daily Prophetic Word.